interwebs. I am Sebastian from Famous Faces and Funnies and GonnaGeek.com, and this is F3G2. I love how every time I say that, that's exactly when Stephen puts he times it well. It also starts with that little, the opinions on this show don't necessarily represent the opinions of, GonnaGeek or Famous Faces or anyone. I'd like to add, the opinions on this show don't even necessarily reflect the opinions of myself. Yeah, sometimes I just speak. It happens.
Words come.
Sometimes I just speak because the camera's there. Often I just speak because I just speak. There doesn't even, eventually, Dave's going to leave. He's going to take his camera. I may still be here talking about God knows what. It happens. But instead of God knows what, I got some comical books to talk about. Woo-hoo. So let's review this week's stunning picks. All right, to start, we've got Aquaman and the Others #1, which I was so excited for because Prisoner of War is my favorite character in the New 52. He's the only reason, as far as I'm concerned, Prisoner of War is the only reason the New 52 happened, was because they needed to introduce him. He needed to exist. The book was good. Won't say great yet, but it's #1. It's got some growing to do, but it was good. It set it up. If you haven't read any of the other stuff in Aquaman yet, you don't need to. It's all here. A little of that got clunky. You have two characters as they discover that their Atlantean artifacts aren't working. You have two different characters in a row saying, "Well, then I guess I'll have to do things the hard way." So I was like, "Nah, the other one just said that. Are they that simpatico, or are we just running out of ways to express that?" And then there was an odd bit with one of the characters is from an Arizona Native American reservation, so when she doesn't know that Atlantis is real, and they're like, "How do you not know when it attacked the East Coast?" Because it attacked Gotham, and she's like, "Ocean news isn't a big deal in an Arizona reservation." And I'm like, really? I think that they probably have the same channels the rest of us have and the same internet, and I would imagine undersea people attacking the country you live in would make the news somehow. It would get a mention. Just saying. But the rest of it was really, really good. I did like, since as I said, my boy, Prisoner of War, I did like that in this he seems a little more at peace. Normally when we've seen him, his ability to summon the ghosts and abilities of dead soldiers, of fallen soldiers, has been, he's kind of haunted by them, but when we last saw him, he was going to the families and making peace and getting to tell each, from family to family, what their fallen loved one, had to say to them so that they could make peace. And now he's kind of having conversations with them and a lot less haunted than he is accompanied by the spirits. So that was really cool. But Dan Jurgens is writing it, and as we know, Dan Jurgens is one of my heroes. He drew me a boost of gold at MegaCon, and I'm still happy about it. He drew me a boost of gold. I got a boost of gold, Dan Jurgens. Oh, I'm so happy. So Aquaman and the Others was good. Earth 222, that's a lot of twos, was really, really good. So good. We get the name reveal, the full name for Val, our other Kryptonian. Right? Val, the black Kryptonian, is named Val Zod. And apparently his parents taught him that violence of any means is the, as he puts it, he says something like most stupidest or whatever he says, but it's the last resort. Violence is never a solution to anything. So on his Earth 2, the Zods were nice people. So that's good that they finally get a break, because we've seen Zod as kind of an anti-hero, and we've seen him as a bloodthirsty lunatic, and we've seen him as both. But it's nice to know that on somewhere there's an Earth 2 Zod that was pretty good. This book has just been great. It's free of, as opposed to the regular New 52, where the changes, some of them are too extreme, some of them are not enough, and it wasn't consistent across the board. Batman got very little changes, Superman got totally redone, the Titans got up beyond all recognition, and then they let Rob Liefeld in. So there were just changes that were just there was no even level of change, all right? But this, from the beginning, has been a completely different thing. So it's not like, it's no longer like, oh, that's a change, or this is a change. This is a whole new thing, and you accept that. And they've done great stuff, and what's his name that's writing this? Tom Taylor has done, I was worried because this was the best book in the New 52, so I was worried, but he's got it. New Warriors #3. It's so good. I'm so happy right now. I really like the new Nova. I shouldn't by all means, but there's no reason for a person like me to like the new Nova. But I love the new Nova.
He's written well in the comics.
He is. I don't watch the TV shows, or I don't know about whatever. But and I love Scarlet Spider, and I love Speedball. So this is a good book. High Evolutionary. Still doing what High Evolutionary does, but with a twist. Right? Normally, when he shows up, he's making a mess because he's trying to eliminate mutants for the purity of the, he's trying to evolve the humans to get them to their next level, This time, he's doing the opposite. He's trying to get rid of mutants. He's trying to get rid of superheroes. He's trying to get rid of clones. As you can tell, this team is not his favorite. He's trying to get rid of aliens because he's decided that he was been wrong, and what's really screwing everything up is the Celestials went out of their way to make humans, and everything keeps screwing up humanity. He's like, now the Terrigen mists are out, and humans are becoming inhuman, and that makes all the difference for him. So he's on a fix humanity, get it back to... he's trying to reboot, he's trying to pull a New 52, is what he's doing. He wants to reboot humanity and get back to, what do they always say when they're doing reboots? They usually say, trying to get back to really the core of these characters and what makes them who they are, and cut away everything else, and then you can change anything as long as you grasp the core. And much like the editors who reboot characters and say all of that, he's completely missing what is the core and changing exactly what he shouldn't and leaving some superfluousness. So yeah, basically the High Evolutionary is like an editor, and
the comic book
the Celestials are like the Celestials are the corporate bigwigs, and he is the EIC of humanity. Ultimate Comics, all new Spider-Man, issue number 200 is both great and completely unnecessary. If you've been watching F3G2, you know that I have said how surprised I am by how much I've been loving Bendis, because Bendis on certain things has been... Bendis is... he either writes the greatest everything is happening stories ever, where everything just clicks and it's beautifully paced, or he writes whole stories of people talking and nothing happens. This is a beautifully well-written whole story of nothing happening. They tease how this is going to set you up for what's to come, and how there's the return of a character, a villain from Peter Parker's run of Ultimate Spidey. There's a guy in the shadows at the end. We don't know who it is. Mostly it's people sitting around Aunt May's house talking about what they think Peter would be doing now if he wasn't dead. So you get glimpses of a little bit of character development, in so much as you get to see what Peter could have been, but you also get to learn more about the characters who are telling you this story, because it's their version, so it's clearly put their way. All right. Movement number 11. We're getting close to the end. I'm going to be so sad to see this go. Best issue yet, and they've all been great. I mean, it's Gail Simone, so she only writes on one level, that Gail Simone level. This issue, Burden fights his brother, and Burden is the poor confused kid who has the ability to turn into what looks like a big demon, but has a heart of gold. Find out his brother is exactly the opposite. His brother sprouts wings and looks like a beautiful angel, and he is just, according to Virtue,
incarnate?
who can, beyond evil incarnate, Virtue is the one who can, she's like a ringless white lantern. She can sense all the different emotions and kind of project emotions. She's just like, oh my god, he is just all rage and all hate. So, the Red Lanterns are all rage, but they tend to be, they can be righteous rage. They're not necessarily just blind hate. This guy is blind hate and rage for rage's sake. And and yeah, and it was really really good. The way, especially the way they juxtaposed the why he looks like an angel versus his brother. It's basically their powers developed the way people perceive them anyway. So the one kid, everyone, oh, he's such a sweet angel and a blessing, and so he grew these wings, and he's just this evil. But his brother, the angel kid was jealous. The angel-looking kid was jealous of the brother, so he always acted like, oh, he's evil. God told me, and they all believed him because he's got wings. He must be an angel. So, as a result of everybody's perceptions, and it was just really, really well done. Speaking of really well done, oh, we're in the let me move a couple things around here because we're in Charles Soulapalooza over here. A whole lot of soul this month, this week. We got Magneto #2. So good. There's even a line in here where, based on what Magneto's done at the end of the first issue, someone says, where they say, I thought Magneto's powers were busted, Agent Haynes. They are. That's what scares me. Because God help us if he ever gets better, right? Magneto, even with his powers not at their peak and his broken, inconsistent power, he's still freaking Magneto. He's been doing this long enough that, you know what, just because his power doesn't work the way he wants to doesn't mean he's out of ideas to make it work as best he can. And he's back to exactly what Magneto is. Forget the facade of am I a hero or am I a villain. It's he's as Machiavellian as they get. This is by any means necessary. The ends justify the means. I'm going to protect my race, and if the humans and other groups are going to step up against the mutant race on this level, then I'm going to meet them on that level and take them down. And it's so well done and so well written. And again, what's Walter's first name? Because Cullen Bunn writes it. So, actually, yeah, I'm saying Charles Soulapalooza. This one's Cullen Bunn. But Cullen Bunn writes this, and it's awesome. And what do you call it? Gabriel Hernandez Walter is just the perfect artist for this book. There's so much mood and tone and emotion in these little expressions. Even Magneto, who's most of the time looking resolute to somewhere between resolute to kind of pissed and or depressed. But there are little moments, and you just see that kind of, this look of angst or regret or bittersweet memory, and it's all in there. So well done. All right, now we're in the Charles Soulapalooza, and with Charles Soulapalooza, we're gonna start with She-Hulk, which may very well be my new favorite Marvel book. This is so good. I wouldn't have believed anybody could make me really like Patsy Walker, the Hellcat, but she's great. There's something going on clearly with I think it's Angela is the new secretary for She-Hulk's law firm. That one seems to have, she just seems to suggest things and people go with it. So I'm thinking there's more to her than meets the eye. But this is She-Hulk trying to get asylum for Christoph, the son of Doom, who's been implanted with Doom's mind so many times that Christoph's not sure where he begins and Doom ends. And that's pretty much his point. And it goes about as well as you'd expect. Doom doesn't like it when people mess with Doom's plans. But what Doom forgot is hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and hell doesn't even know what fury is if that woman happens to be She-Hulk. So next issue should be, because now it's on. She-Hulk like, really? No. You don't? No. Have you met my cousin? No. So that ought to be good. Inhuman #1 was good. It was better than I thought it would be. It introduces a handful of new characters. We see some familiar Inhuman faces, mostly Medusa, which I'm fine with because this is Joe Mangiero. Yeah, Mads. He draws a gorgeous Medusa. Can I say that? I'm gonna say that he draws beautiful Medusa, because you have to do something to make her pop, because let's face it, if there's one thing that we know in the Marvel Universe, better than gamma rays, cosmic rays, radioactive spiders, or a mutant or the X Factor gene. You want to know how you get powers in the Marvel universe? You are a red-haired woman. If you are a ginger chick in the Marvel universe, you are going to get powers or become a master assassin for probably Russia. But it's just the way it is.
Something significant will happen.
So yeah, if you're not, she is the epitome, because not only is she a red-haired, super-powered Marvel character, her red hair is her superpower. All right, so she is like, she in the big Venn diagram of red-haired, superpowered Marvel characters, she's the one in every bowl. So she is basically, she is Marvel. She should just be their logo. Mary Jane's like, I never got powers, and it's not entirely true. You've had them sometimes, and yeah. But you're also the kind of chick who turns to the devil and says, "Okay, just save Peter's aunt. Let's let Jokers out of fuck with continuity forever." So that's a power, bitch. But yeah, this was really good. I like the new character Dante. I like this hunter guy. I forget what his name is. This Inhuman that's after them. But yeah, the art is solid and gorgeous. The story, it's a beginning concept, but yeah, it's got enough Inhumans that we've had before, and enough new Inhumans so that it's a little bit for everyone. If you're an Inhumans fan, then you're used to not getting a lot of your Inhumans. They tend to be in the back of other things, but every time they try and do something with them, it doesn't work so good. All right, so now they're trying them again on their own, and they're doing a little influx of newness, which makes sense based on the storyline of the Terrigen Mists all over planet Earth. So, is good. Swamp Thing number 30. I love this book, and this has two of my favorite things right now, because you've got some Jesus Saya's art. You've also got Javier Pina, but you got Charles Soule writing it, and the two of them on art. You got Vandal Savage in here, and I've never liked Vandal Savage pre-New 52 or current New 52 or New 52 as much as I like him now. I mean, and I've liked the character. I haven't always. It depends on who's writing him. But this is like the best. He is the epitome of Vandal Savage right here. He is the
Power Mad Immortal?
No, he is the noble savage. He is the elegant caveman, and it's just perfect. It's just perfect. I am loving this supporting cast. I'm loving this story, and I'm not always a big fan of the. Basically, he gets body thiefed, like the Anne Rice Vampire Lestat Tale of the Body Thief story. There's these people. They tell him, look, we worship the Avatar. One of their jobs is to let the Avatar rest and have a moment as a human. So one of them inhabits his body, and he goes into their body. But then they poison the body he's in and steal the Avatar body. And now he wakes up and he's like, and he's on a quest to get his power back before he A, withers and dies without it, and B, someone else gets the powers of the Avatar. Meanwhile, they're studying it, and they've got their own. They're trying to find a way to use it as best they can. But it also turns out they're not the real members of that group. That group is just one old man now, and an avatar of. I can't tell from the the stylize of the art if that's like water or air or whatever. But just like you, do you really think the Serene offered their gifts just to the green? So she's got powers from. Doesn't seem like the red. We've met them. Doesn't seem like the rot. So I don't know what else is out there. The white, the blue, the beige. I don't know. The magenta. I'm colorblind. I wouldn't know. Action Comics. In the Line of Fire. Prelude to Doomed. Greg Pak, who I love most of the time, isn't doing it for me here. There's an interesting story in here with this leader of this group. She's got the power to control the dead, and she's convinced that Superman, she's got a very Lex Luthor attitude towards Superman. Your version of helping isn't helping, and you are limiting us, and you're going to get people killed because you don't make those tough calls. it's almost what I've been looking for, which is one of those stories where Superman steps up and shows that he's more man than super. All right, and that's what makes him Superman. So it's got elements that I liked, but at the same time, the Doomsday stuff made me go, and it just didn't. It had the right ingredients, but they didn't come together as wholly as I wanted. You know, it's the right recipe, but it was a little overcooked or undercooked. Probably undercooked. I'm going to go with Mark Millar, surprising me by being Mark Millar and my really liking this. I don't like, Kick-Ass, and I don't like most of his stuff. I didn't like his Authority, and I didn't like his Ultimates. But some of these things he's been doing at Image lately, Jupiter, something.
That was like Super Crooks or something.
Super Crooks I loved, but I don't think that was. I thought that was somebody else. That wasn't for Image, but there's something like Jupiter. I want to say Jupiter Rising, but
Something like that.
but something like that that I've been really liking. Jupiter's Legacy. Here we go. It's all back here. Jupiter's Legacy, but this Starlight, look at this Super Crooks back here. This kind of basically what he's doing is the character is called Duke McQueen, but basically what he's doing here is he's doing the Dark Knight Returns for Buck Rogers. There's a guy went off, saved a different planet, he was an astronaut, went through a wormhole, saved a different planet, was a dashing hero, came back to Earth, no one believed him. On that other planet, he's still the most sung of and celebrated hero. On Earth, he's that, silly old man that has delusions of whatever. So in this, they've come back for him because there's a new threat, and he's like, I'm 63 years old, I can't go flying up, but then he decides, no, screw it, I'm doing it. But he's like, I got to make sure. What's he say? He's got this bag of stuff, and he's like, and the kid's like, you need all that. The guy that's come to get him, and he's like, I'm trying to figure out what else we're gonna need up here. I don't want to get halfway and then realize I forgot my glasses or cholesterol pills, because that's a hell of a thing to forget in another universe, But it's really, really good and really well done. Garth Ennis' Caliban. Caliban was really, really good. It's a ship. It's like best way I can describe this. The most simplest way I can describe this is Garth Ennis's Event Horizon. It's this ship, this mining ship that goes through like a warp, like a wormhole kind of warp flights to find other worlds to mine, and they've got all the miners are in cryo sleep. Only the crew is awake because everybody else just waits to wake up when they go. In this, they suddenly crash, but it's not really a crash so much as another alien ship kind of thing materializes in the same spot they've materialized in, and they kind of merge and are now yanked out of, and it's like, and they're trying to figure out, now the two ships are one. So they're trying to find out who's alive, who's not, and whether or not they can repair their ship. But to do so, they've got to go through parts of the ship that are now this alien, craft. So it's how much of it is ours versus how much of it is theirs, and what the hell's going on. And it is the best sci-fi movie you will ever read. Best sci-fi horror movie you will ever read. Green Arrow number 30. I am so in love with Green Arrow right now. I like the show. I like Arrow. I'm behind on it. I got a DVR and I got to catch up. But the comic has been awesome. And this issue is Jeff Lemire really did this book. Went through a couple of different writers in the New 52, and it was like, Green Arrow. Oh no, what are we gonna do about Green Arrow? And then Jeff Lemire's like, I got it. Jeff Lemire was the exception to the rule. He's the guy who came in and said, all right, we've got all these changes, and I'm going to make some more changes, but let me dust everything away, and here's the core of Green Arrow, and I'm going to do that. And he actually found the fucking core, all right? He was the one guy with a map and a GPS, all right? And I found the core of a character. Let's go. And this book is phenomenal. You've got Green Arrow, you've got Shadow, you've got Green Arrow's mom and his, you've got Green Arrow's dad and his half-sister. You've got a flashback to Green Arrow's mom. You've got everything going on in here. You've got Katana. The best use of Katana.
Since Birds of Prey.
The best use of Katana since Birds of Prey. Yes, exactly. All right, they've like redeemed the character in the new 52 version of the character. Detective Comics number 30 by Manipul and Bagalotto. Bagalotto was okay. It was a bit choppy. It didn't flow like a Bat book should. It didn't have I don't know. I'm going to give it a couple more because it wasn't bad. It just wasn't good, and it didn't really sing. Rachel Rising 24, so good. We get some closure to a couple of different cycles. We get wolves. We get a whole lot of ghosts, a whole lot of screaming ghosts. We get comics falling off my lap. And we get, as always, the gorgeous, I don't know which is more gorgeous, Terry Moore storytelling or Terry Moore art. But since he uses art as part of the storytelling, I can call it a tie. Pick these up here. That one can stay. I'm done with it. I don't care. All right, let's see. Loki, Agent of Asgard, is number 3. This is good. I mean, I picked it up out of curiosity and because I kind of like the art story and the concept. But this is... Doctor Who couldn't follow the time weaving this story does. All right? This is old evil Odin, who was dead, but his essence is still alive, even though... All right, ready for this? This is a headache right here. Odin died. I mean, not Odin. Loki. Loki dies. Comes back as a kid. Starts trying to be better than he was. But then gets... The Loki kid gets killed and possessed by the spirit of Loki from before his own death, who now still wants to redeem himself, even though he killed his good self, and starts doing things for Frigga and the All-Mother, because there's like Frigga, Gaia, and a handful of them as the All-Mother, starts doing tasks for them, and each task he succeeds in erases from history one of his misdeeds when he was formerly alive. However, the evil spirit that has now already possessed him also finds its way into this time, not the one that's possessed him, and is now original evil Loki, who has his own plans of redemption versus more of a return to glory. And he goes back in time to meet Odin and start setting up the plan that's already happening now, because he knows what reborn him is going to do. So he starts laying seeds for his own purposes, for what. So it's Loki scheming Loki, who's already been out-schemed by Loki, who went back in time and spoke to the man who would become his foster father, and sets things up for himself. And yet somehow when you read it, it all makes perfect sense. So, what's Ewing's first name? It's Al Ewing. Good on you, mate. Green Hornet, number 11. Green Hornet's ultimate plan and method of operations bites him in the ass big time. This pretending to be a bad guy to do good, this explores the idea of how that can affect people who don't know that it's a scam and buy into. So sometimes good people now get on board with his plans, but think he's bad, so can out-bad him, thinking, what? So it doesn't end well. There's Murder Most Foul. Archer and Armstrong, number 19, is just awesome. Most of it is Archer fighting Project Rising Spirit in his sleep. He's literally sleepwalking through, beating the crap out of him. Eventually they wake him up and that gives them a slight edge for a second, and then he's just like, look, I could detect you when I was sleeping. What do you think I'm going to do now? Boom. And he's like knocking invisible people out or whatever. He's trying to save one of their team members' lives, but they're not paying any attention to that. They're listening in on the sound. So Guzzle, the guy in charge of it is just screwing things up. he's actually helping them, and they're screwing it up. Meanwhile, because underneath it all, Bloodshot is not a huge fan of Project Rising Spear. He's actually conspiring to get Armstrong in there to help bust Archer out. But then Armstrong still feels like he's been betrayed when they tricked. He feels embarrassed over the way they tricked him in the first place. So he's not really a big fan of teaming up with Bloodshot. But this cover where they've got him, with the little, it's like, man, I don't know what a Bloodshot is, but make mine a double. That's perfect right there. Quantum and Woody #9 was amazing. The characterization, it's so well done. It gives me a headache to think, Asmus and Kint are just blowing it out of the park here. The dialogue is important to me, and they make dialogue that should not at all seem natural, seem completely natural. And that they had to spend a lot of time thinking about their story, thinking about where it was going, to come up and mapping it out to come up with the dialogue that fit that, but somehow seemed natural despite the fact that there was a lot of planning and formulation going on, and it just works. This is one of the funniest, best, it's like social satire in the middle of superhero satire, in the middle of serious social commentary and serious superhero comic book commentary. It literally is the concepts and execution of this book are as different but perfectly in sync as the title characters. And then there's just random chaotic goat moments, so it's brilliant. Turok #3 is Greg Pak talking about wasn't feeling his action comics. This is him at his best. I love this new Turok. I love every little concept of it. You've got like British holy knights unleashing dinosaurs on Native Americans, and Turok taking the fight to them, and just he's on the outs with his own tribe because they have they've had problems with him forever, but now he's the only one who can save them, and it's just it's like he's a hero to one and an enemy to the other, but he's really affiliated with neither, and that's kind of freeing and limiting to what he can do, and it's just so well done. The Shadow Year One continues to be what I keep calling the Shadow, the animated series. It's gorgeous. The story is great. You should be reading that. Suicide Risk. I finally have my first feel like I peeked in to know, so that's everything that's happened. This book is so good. It started out as one thing and has become so much more than that. The idea being that everyone with powers in this world is actually from another world where they've had their minds and therefore their powers erased and have been implanted into these new lives, and they haven't been getting powers so much as getting the implants removed, and are now starting to get their memories back and realize that there's so much going on. And our main character, who is at part-times Requiem, which is the super-powered character he was from another world, and at part-times I forget his actual name, but he gets Dan-slotted. He gets there's a failsafe in his mind that's supposed to erase Requiem's personality if it ever starts to take over, but this one mental-powered guy gets in there, flips it, and now it actually erases the normal him. So he gets kind of Peter Parkered. It happens. Skyward #6, Jeremy Dell. This is his world, his book, his creation, and it's so good. This is like this is a worthy successor to Telos. All right, if you remember Telos, this is the Telos for the current generation. Okay, that's some high praise right there. Moon Knigget. All right, Moon Knight #2, so good. You've got Moon Knight in an actual Moon Knight costume. But he's Moon Knight, so if he wants to wear a suit with a mask one day and an albino Batman suit the next day, he can do that. If he wants to wear sequins, I would totally read that. But what's really awesome about this, who's the artist on here? I mean, Warren Ellis is Warren Ellis, so you know the story is awesome. But this Declan Shalvey, there's a bunch of panels like this. What he does with that cape, where he takes it to like outside the panel to it becomes the panel borders. He does these things even on the cover. You can he does these things with this cape that are just gorgeous. That just only the comic medium can let you do that. You can't do that as well in a movie and whatever, unless you do stop and do stills or whatever. But he does, the art, the whites. I mean, most of the comic is dark. It's either like blacks or dull grays and greens, but those whites are like a vibrant white. And then he does these cool shapes with it's like Moon Knight chiaroscuro. It's gorgeous. Of course, it's well written. I had a little at the ending of this because I really don't think Moon Knight would have just let somebody go after a certain point, but whatevs. Captain America opens this weekend. But really, what we're really looking forward to, although Cap's going to be awesome, but Guardians of the Galaxy. So here's a little preview by Adlin Lanning, DNA on Guardians of the Galaxy. This is mostly movie versus Nebula's story, and it's good. So you got some Gamora in here. You got some Thanos. So I don't know how big a part Thanos will actually play in the movie, if at all. But it's cosmic Marvel, and we've seen that Thanos exists in this verse. So therefore, you know that even if he's not there, his presence is there. You know what I'm saying? His kids are all in it. So what the hell? And finally, we end with Red Sonja. Which, first off, I want to say this is just the most striking cover of the month. Including on the variant, it just shows you the black and white. One of the variants is a black and white variant, and for the black and white, it's not even the same character. It's amazing how, I mean, I know Red Sonja, red is right there in her name, but it's amazing how you take that red out and make it a solid black, and it's not even the same character. She just becomes somebody else. It's amazing. Story-wise, this picks up where the last one left off. She's on her quest in order to get 1,000 slaves freed. She has to collect a handful of artisans for this mad emperor, and she's already got the masterful cook. Now she's after a beastmaster, but she ends up bringing back one, but not the one he requested, because the one she's after, the one that was requested, was kind of somebody that Sonja swore she would kill if she ever saw her again. So she's got mixed emotions as to how to go about this, and this is like the PETA friendly. Not PETA friendly. There's some animal cruelty abounds, but they go about avenging that. So this is Red Sonja, activist. All right, and that is that for this week. I hope you made it all the way through to see that gorgeous Red Sonja. Go see Captain America: Winter Soldier, and we'll see you next week.